Hi there, friends. Welcome to Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. It is Tuesday, July 23rd. A couple of reminders. Today is a special day. For today only, July 23rd only, you can get free standard shipping on orders of $75 or more in the US. I will tell you that I placed an order early this morning. I had no trouble with the website at all. About half hour ago, I placed 2 more orders and those went through fine. I've had some customer orders in between and that seemed to be fine. I do know that Stampin' Up was having some kind of technical glitch with their system. So if you're trying to order and experience that, please try again. If you have trouble, call your demonstrator or me if I'm your demonstrator, and I will be happy to help you. But it looks like everything has been worked out as far as I can tell here in the US. So take advantage of that free shipping today. Maybe get something that's on your wish list or stock up on some staples like adhesives, white cardstock, envelopes, that sort of thing. And we are down to the last week of our bonus days. So when you place an order today of $75 or more, not only are you going to get that free shipping, but you're also going to get a $5 coupon code for bonus days that you can redeem for an order next month. And you will also receive free via email my July 12x12 One Sheet Wonder PDF tutorial that features the frames and flowers specialty DSP. So you'll get the One Sheet Wonder template, the card sketches, plus all the instructions, everything you need to make the cards for that. And of course, that One Sheet Wonder can be used over and over and over again in the future, as well as the card sketches. So yes, you'll get all those things free. And I guess that's it. Hope you all had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. I had another long weekend. 2 girls' weekends in a row. Like, that never happens to me. But I went to a crafting event Thursday through Sunday. So I was working on scrapbooking Riley's first year. I think I got through the first 3 months and a little bit more. So I plan on doing that some this weekend. In fact, if you look behind me, you'll notice the top row of paper sorters are pretty much empty because I took most of my 12x12 cardstock with me to the crop. But it was so much fun. Spent some time with a best friend, made some new friends, which is always awesome, and enjoyed a little bit of Ohio's Amish country. Today's demonstration is a little bit different. There is no stamping involved. There is no card making involved. But I'm going to show you 6 different ways that you can dress up your envelopes with your favorite designer series papers or papers that coordinate with the card you'll be sending or giving. So I'm going to flip my camera around now. While I'm doing that, would you please share this live video, and invite others to join us this afternoon. Okay, are there any first-time watchers at Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe? Any first-timers? If you're a first-timer, welcome. And if you've been with me before, welcome back. I'm always glad to have you. Okay, as I said, I'm going to show you 6 quick and easy different ways to decorate your envelopes with your favorite designer series papers. Typically, you're going to be using designer series papers that coordinate with the card you made. Maybe coordinates with the colors or theme, or maybe you use that particular designer series paper on your card. You can also do this with cardstock, but I prefer to use designer series paper. It's just extra special. So for this first one, I'm using a 3/4 inch strip of designer series paper. By the way, some of these are good ways to use up your scraps of designer series paper as well. So this is a 3/4 inch piece of designer series paper. And this is from, and the name just slipped right by me, so let me look real quick. Perennial Lavender. Oh, I don't know how I could forget that. Perennial Lavender. This is from the Perennial Lavender stamp set. And because I'm using multi-purpose glue, and because I may be going off the page or the envelope with it, or the DSP, I'm using my silicone craft sheet. Because what will happen is any glue that gets on my craft sheet will dry, and then I will literally just take my finger and rub it off. And I just trim up the ends. So that's the first way. And that, again, was 3/4 of an inch of DSP. You can make this a little wider. You can make it a little narrower. You can even move it off of the left edge, leaving a little bit of the envelope showing. Now, for my next one, I've cut 2 pieces of the Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper. These measure 1/2 inch. Let me double check. Yes, 1/2 inch. Now, I pretty much measured top to bottom of my envelope. It is just a teensy bit over 4 1/4. So that's what I cut these to be. Now, if you have strips, 1/2 inch strips that are longer, that's perfectly fine. Add them, and then you can just trim off the ends. Now this time, I'm going to put a strip on each, on each side. And I'm going to leave a little bit of the white envelope showing on the outside edge. Now, I have mailed envelopes like this. That is another reason I'm using the liquid glue, the multi-purpose glue, green glue, whatever you want to call it, Tombow. Not only does it allow me to slide my pieces around into place, but it's also going to give a really nice seal. If you are putting this through the mail, you don't want to leave like the ends not adhered, because they can catch in the machines and then it's going to ruin your pretty envelope. But if you have all the edges sealed nicely, it works out perfectly fine. So that's another way. You can even take this a step further by doing a strip across the top and bottom as well, or other than the 2 on the side. Okay, on this one, I've cut a piece of cardstock that DSP that measures 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. Okay, and remember, these envelopes are for an A2 size card. So if you make something different, I know like in some of the other markets, that is not their standard size. But I'm just going to try to get the narrowest bits of glue here and go real close to the outside edge. Again, because I want to have a good seal and real thin spider web-like strands of glue in the middle. And then I'm going to press that down. So I'm leaving a nice white edge of envelope all the way around. All the edges are sealed really well. And you're probably wondering, well, Mary, isn't it going to be hard to write on this? Yes, but this is my solution. This is what I like to do. I have these address labels. You can buy them in sheets. Mine happen to be on rolls because I use them with my Dymo printer for labeling classes and all kinds of different things, making my own custom return address labels, that sort of thing. But you can just add a label. If you don't have the sticky labels, just adhere down a piece of typing paper or white cardstock that you can address your envelope with. And of course, I would just put my return label right at the top there. All right, so each of those, I just showed you 3 ways. Kathy's asking, do I always mail my Happy Mail in cellophane envelopes, even if I'm using decorated envelopes? Kathy, to tell you the truth, any cards that I mail for personal reasons are like birthday cards, sympathies, you know, that sort of things to my family and friends. I do not put those in the cellophane envelopes. When I give away my cards from these Facebook Lives, I do put, like I would put the finished card from the Facebook Live in the envelope, and then I would take this and put it in a cellophane envelope. And the only reason I do that is I want people to be able to take that card I've given away and have an envelope so that they can use it right away to spread some joy to somebody else. So that's the only reason I use the cellophane envelope there. But really it's just a matter of preference. Okay, for the next one. So the first 3, we use the DSP on the front of the envelope. For these next 2, I'm going to show you how to decorate some of the back of the envelope. So I have cut a piece of 2.5 inch by 6 inch designer series paper, and I'm going to adhere it right here. So I'm going to, let me get that, it's kind of yucky. I'm going to, again, just put very narrow line of glue all the way around the flap, because I want to get a nice seal, so I want that adhesive close to the edges of the flap, and then some skinny bits in the middle. You don't want to glob it on or do fat lines of glue, because then it just makes your paper kind of ripply, or even will do some bubbles. Now, when I lay this on, I know this is going to be a little bit too big for my envelope flap, but that is okay. When I lay this on, I want to get as close as I can to the fold line, but I don't want to go over the fold. Okay, let me hold this up. Can you see how I'm just about at the fold line, but I did not go past it? Okay, so that's your goal. Get as close to that fold line without going over. Then I'm going to flip it over and use my paper snips to trim away the excess. So I think the term no naked envelopes, meaning decorate your envelopes, no naked envelopes, I believe that phrase or term came from our Stampin' Up co-founder and current board chair, Shelley Gardner. So that has always kind of stuck with me since the first time I heard her say that at a Stampin' Up event. No naked envelopes. I love it. So there is, and this might be, I think this is my favorite way to decorate an envelope is to put the DSP on the flap. Super simple, right? Again, I used a 2.5 inch by 6 inch piece of that pretty paper. Okay, for this next one, I'm going to once again be decorating the flap, but this time I'm using strips. You can use strips of DSP, which I'm doing here today, or you could even use strips of cardstock. So a good way to use up some of your scraps, right? We all have those. So these are 6 inch by 1/2 inch. And trying to spread that glue so I'm reaching the edges. And I'm gonna start at the top, leaving a little bit of the white showing. Something fun to do would be to use like the color families of DSP or strips of cardstock of different colors. I think that would be a fun thing to do. So any of these things you can really do with cardstock. I prefer to use the pattern paper or DSP because it's thinner than cardstock, number one, and I just think it's a little bit more special. And you know I go crazy with DSP, right? I just love it. And again, using that multi-purpose glue allows me to slide the strips around to get them into place where I want them. Now this one's going to go off the edge of the bottom. But that's okay, because I'm going to put all this into place, give that a moment to dry, that last strip, and then I'm going to pull it up and use my paper snips to cut off the excess designer series paper. Now, as I'm doing this, not all of the glue is dry, so therefore the DSP is sticking to my paper snips a little bit, but no worries, just push it off. And then when you're finished, be sure and wipe your paper snip blades with a damp cloth or something like that. So I have my chamois here that goes with my glass mat. It came with my glass mat, I should say, and I'm just going to wipe that off. Okay. So there is the fifth one. And look at the difference. I love them both, but the strips just takes it up a little notch, right? You can even do different widths of strips. Think of what it would look like with 1/4 inch strips, or maybe you alternate 1/4 inch strips with 1/2 inch strips, or do strips of 3 different colors or 4 different colors, or 4 different coordinating designer series papers, right? Another good way to use up your scraps. Okay. And I have one more. Now I've shown you 3 ways to decorate the front of your envelope, 2 ways to decorate the back, but now I'm going to show you how to decorate the inside by making an envelope insert. And this does require me, well, I made a template, but I want to show you how to make the template. So, where did it go? Okay. Now, I know some of you won't like this, but I'm using a white envelope because I know it's exactly the size I need, right? If you've ever dropped some ink or miswritten or something, you can use that as well. So I'm just opening up my envelope all the way. I've got a piece of, happens to be crumb cake. This is 6 inches by 6 inches. And I've got the open side of the envelope towards me, facing up. And I'm taking that top flap, that open flap, almost to the edge of the cardstock. And then I'm just going to use a pencil to trace around. Now, I don't want my insert to be the same size as my envelope. I need it to be a little bit smaller, right? The other thing is I don't want to cover up the seal part of the envelope. So I want to take this down about 1/2 inch. That will make sure my insert is below that part that I need to seal my envelope. And I'm also going to scoot it over, maybe 1/4 inch or so. Okay. So down about 1/2 inch. Down from the top about 1/2 inch. And then from the one side, I'm taking it in about 1/4 inch. Oh, wait, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. I changed it from what somebody else told me. Sorry about that. So you don't need to take it down with this way. And if you learn to do it that way, let me show you that this works. So all I've done is I'm keeping the top the same, and I've scooted over just a tiny bit right there, okay? Then I'm going to get that top edge the same, and I'm going to pull in a little bit from the right edge and trace that. Okay, I'm going to go over this again so you can see real clearly where my lines are. And once you've made your template, just mark it as a template, what it is. Okay, so here you can see where I've scooted over. That's how far I went over. Same thing over here. I came in from the left and right sides. So now I'm going to trim away that part. Just using my paper snips. It's pretty quick and easy. If your sides aren't perfectly straight, it's not going to matter because they will be hidden on the inside of the envelope. Round your corner, snip across the top. Round the corner again. Get about there, and then I can go straight down. So now this is my template. So what I would write on here is template for A2 envelope insert. So then I always have it, right? File it away, maybe put it in the same drawer as your envelopes, that sort of thing. And what you can do is just use your eraser. If there's any pencil lines on that envelope, you can erase them and you can still use that. So now I'm going to take my 6x6 Perennial Lavender Designer Series paper and flip it over. Yes, Kathy, we used to have that envelope liner die. In fact, it was a set of 3, but that retired. So this is the next best option. So when I'm tracing it, this is going to be the front facing. So I want to do my tracing on the back side. Makes sense, right? Whoops. And then I'll just trim away the outer edge. And it really takes very little time, especially if you already have your template made. So take the time to make a template and file it away or put it with your envelopes to have in the future. And then it'll be quick and easy every time. Okay. Now, remember when I started making the template and I first said move the envelope down before you retrace? The reason I changed that from what I've done or seen in the past is when you put the insert in, if you did it that way, your DSP would go to about here on the inside of the envelope. And to me, it looks a little unfinished or less than professional unless it goes all the way down to the bottom. Now, some of you may disagree and say you don't want to use that much DSP for an envelope liner. If that is the case, you're just going to cut it shorter. So maybe, I would go maybe 3.5 inches. About 3 inches, okay? Now, I do not adhere this to the entire inside of the envelope. I go a little bit around the edge, not even all the way down. You only need a little bit to hold this in place. And I'm getting close to that edge and maybe a little bit like that. Not very much. You don't even need to go down far. Then I'm just going to slip it in my envelope. And once the DSP, and you can feel it, gets to the bottom of the envelope, I'm going to press that in place. And then I'm going to fold it. Now this is real easy, and this is the reason why I only put the adhesive on this very top part of the insert. Otherwise, it just doesn't make, if you've got adhesive going down, you don't always get a nice crisp fold. So fold it over on the crease that's already there and just go over it with your bone folder. And then voila, you've got a really pretty envelope. So let's review just very quickly 6 ways to dress up your envelopes with designer series paper. Remember, you can also swap out for any of your designer series papers, any that coordinate with the cards you are using them for. And you can swap out for cardstock, but cardstock is thicker. So another reason why I prefer to use DSP. Plus DSP is just a little more special. Okay, so there's one, a 3/4 inch strip. Remember, you can make the strip wider or narrower, and you can take it all the way to the left edge like I did, or you can scoot it over a little bit so some of that white envelope is showing on the left side of the strip. Okay, then I did 2 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inch strips, one on each side. I could have also done one across the top and bottom, kind of made a frame for the envelope. Let's see, what did we do next? Then we did this one. Remember to talk about the silicone craft mat again, remind me. So then the third one, I cut a piece of DSP 5 inches by 3 3/4 inches. You can change the dimensions. You could do 4 1/4 by 3. You can do whatever you want here. You could cover the entire front of the envelope if you like. And then to address it, I didn't get that on very straight, did I? To address it, just use a white sticky address label or glue down a piece of white paper or white cardstock, and you'll be all set to address your envelope. Okay. Then, so those were decorating the front. Then we decorated the back, the flap side. Okay. I started with a strip of DSP that's 2.5 inches by 6 inches, adhered it to the flap. You'll want to use it open, okay? Work with it, an open envelope. Adhere it to the flap. Get that paper as close to the fold as you can without going over it, okay? Then you'll open it up, use your snips to trim around the excess DSP. I did the same thing here, but instead I used 1/2 inch strips of designer series paper. Okay, so again, you can use different widths of strips. You might use more than one DSP, maybe a couple of coordinating designer series papers. You might alternate the size of the strips, maybe 1/4 inch strip, 1/2 inch strip, 1/4 inch strip, 1/2 inch strips, or make it simple, just do a 1 inch and a 1 inch. Anything you like, anything you can think of. And then finally, I showed you how to make a template for an insert for an A2 envelope. And that's what we did here. Okay. Any questions about those? Again, I think this is my favorite. And just every once in a while, I like to cover the front of the envelope with the DSP. So I love them all, love them all. I'd say this is the one I probably use the most. But they are all wonderful. So the next time you are getting ready to give or send cards, try some of these different ways of dressing up your envelopes with designer series paper. Okay. Before we go, I just want to show you this for people who don't know. And when you're using multi-purpose glue or liquid glue, even hot glue, like the glue gun, it's good to work on a silicone craft sheet. The glue goes on here. It doesn't make, that way you're not getting the glue on your crafting surface or your desk surface, whatever you're using. Then when it dries, it's as easy as wiping it with your finger, and it just all comes right off like that. And you saw how much glue I had on there, and it's good to go. You don't even have to wet it. You don't have to get a damp cloth. It is that simple. And the hot glue, you know how when you're using a hot glue and you set it down and it sits there for a few seconds or a minute or two before you pick it up and use it again, the glue is still melting and still coming out, right? And then you get those globs of hot glue that eventually dry, right? When those are dry, you just pick them right off. It is really that easy. So if you don't have one of these, I highly encourage you to have it. I have one here for my card making and paper crafting. I have one that I store with my hot hot glue gun. And believe it or not, I have one upstairs in my kitchen. Does anybody know what I would use that for? Okay, I live by myself, and sometimes, and my hands are, I don't know, I guess they're getting old. I've got some arthritis. I now have carpal tunnel. Sometimes I'm not able to open the jars. They're just so tight. So what I do is got my jar with the lid, put this over the top, I squeeze and I turn, and it works for me every single time. So when I discovered that, I bought a third silicone craft mat, and it stays in my kitchen drawer. So just an FYI, or a public service announcement, we'll say, right? Okay, everybody, that is all I have for you today. No giveaway today, but I will tell you, you do want to come back for my next Facebook Live on Tuesday at 2 p.m. because I will be showing more alternate ways of decorating your envelopes, but we won't be using DSP. Okay, so check back then, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. Oh, what did I say, Tony? Thursday, 2 p.m. I'm not sure what I said, to be honest. Public service is always good, isn't it, Kay? It's good. We share our tips and tricks and things like that, and that's how we all learn. Oh, I said Tuesday. Oh, heaven forbid I'd have to repeat a Tuesday. They're my longest days. Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll have more ideas for you for decorating your envelopes, but the ideas I show you on Thursday don't involve any designer series paper or cardstock. I think you're going to love it. All right, everybody. See you then. Until then, stay well and be happy and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.